So I'm just showing you how to do a Smk CP2 light trigger mod. This is actually going to make the sear just work a lot nicer, and it's going to be a lot less stress actually on the tip. So when you actually fire it, because there's less contact actually on the tip, it makes it a lot easier to break. So you go through the first stage, and then it's a clean second stage instead of like a gradual pull and getting more tension. So first of all, you'll want to go to a shop and buy a good couple of pens to get some springs. Probably only want like 4 just in case you mess up or you want to sort of play around with it. As you can see, I've messed a few up where they've gone a bit wobbly and just not bent straight. This was a really short one I tried, and this actually made the trigger like really slack. It was like really wobbly once it wasn't cocked. I didn't particularly like that one. And I just made this one a second ago. So all you want to do is grab a jet lighter, pair of pliers, pick up the end and just push it down until you get the sort of rough size you want. So let's put this to this one now. So that's actually the same size as the one I was using. So that's pretty good. So what you want to do now is grab a bit of hot glue or foam. So for my air rifle I bought a cheek rest, will come with this foam cheek rest. So you just want to cut a section of this off about the same size as this. Go. So compared to the actual sear, as you can see it's not very big, it's just to stop the spring sliding in and out once you pull the trigger. So what you want to do is slide this into between these 2 channels. So you want to push it down. And then once it's in there, you want to grab your little spring. Look at there. So originally the pin would go here. I've done this, I'll do the hole is. So that's where the pin would go for the sear. So my thought of this is it's a hell of a lot less leverage compared to this really firm spring in this little hole. I'm actually having a really light spring here, but it's probably about the same size. So just lift the trigger up, slide that in, and get the long pin. Oh, I think that's moved. So once you've got that done, get a long Allen key and just tap the foam forward. So depending if you hot glued the trigger down, you could actually move the spring wherever you liked, or you could use a bigger bit of foam to hold the spring wherever you wanted to get the right amount of tension you wanted. But mine's done now. So as you can see, got a super light trigger, and then when you pull the actual bolt back, it's just super crisp. There's no catching what you have to sort of overcome before it just slides in. This actually just slides straight over the latch, super smooth. So I'm really happy with that. And once it's cocked, you have your first stage. So with this little duct tape, it actually preloads the trigger. So it sort of opens the gap up for the first stage. So you got a nice first stage, and then a tiny gap, and fire. So it's super crisp. So first stage, break. So I'm really happy with that. So what you want to do next is just put your stock back on. If you wanted to as well, if you wanted to polish the sear and the actual hammer up, is use permanent marker to actually mark both of the surfaces to see what's contacting and what's not contacting before you start polishing. because you might remove material where it's not needed. So I'd say give that a try first. If you also want to add a sling onto this rifle, just put 2 cable ties here, and that does the job. Let's put the stock back on. Oh, not the camera. I'm going to put the trigger in first. Rock the back in, and then tilt forward. And if the trigger pops out, means one of the pins wasn't in line. It'll be a bit of a pain every now and again. For safety. So, yeah. Yeah, so attempt 2, let's put the stock back on. There you go. And then you want to put this 3mm bolt back inside. So there you go. So if you have a short spring, like an extremely short spring, like one of these 2, they are roughly, so 10mm to sort of 12mm. The other one's probably about 8mm. If you use those, the trigger will literally just flop by itself. But this actually has a tiny bit of preload what stops it wobbling. So you've got your first stage, and then a clean brake. So close to the camera so I can get it. I'm going to smash my TV. Got the camera wobbling. So you got your first stage, brake. So it makes the trigger super consistent. I'm super happy with this. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Give it a try. It's only going to cost you a multi-pack of pens, so you can't really go wrong. So yeah, give it a try.